Hello, this is Omi Naruzi with Team SideScroller, and this is our progress report for Sprint 3. Let's start off with Drew Demechko.
The functionality I worked on for this sprint was attack functionality, more specifically the ground enemies. So the first user story for this was as a ground enemy, I want to collide with the player so that I can hurt him. And the acceptance criteria was when the ground enemy collides with the player, it should hurt the player, reducing his health. And since they're similar, as at the second story, as a subtype of ground enemy, I want to collide with the player and have defenses so that the player cannot just jump on me to hurt me. And the acceptance criteria was when the subtype of ground enemy collides with the player, even if the player jumps on it, it should hurt the player, reducing his health. So we'll click start here to show that. Right, so first off, we'll jump on the ground enemy subtype, which is this thing with spikes, and it'll hurt me when I jump on it. And as you'll see, all enemies will hurt me as I run into them. So that's the work I did for the sprint. Thanks.
Hello, this is Omid again, and for this sprint, my user stories were as follows. As a player, I want my projectiles to kill enemies so that I can raise my score, and as a player, I want my melee attacks to kill enemies so that I can raise my score, and as a player, I want the score displayed on the screen to increase with each enemy I kill so that I can keep track of my points. The acceptance criteria was as follows. When the game is open and the player fires a projectile that hits an enemy, the enemy dies with a cool animation. When the game is open and the player uses his melee to hit an enemy, the enemy dies with a cool animation. And when an enemy is killed by the player, the scores displayed on the screen should increase by 10 for each enemy killed. So here we are on the game screen, and here's a ground enemy and a flying enemy. Let's attack the flying enemy, and there it is, it's dead, and it had an animation, and the score was increased. Let's hit one of these guys, increased by that, there we go, and also increased, and there we go, and ground enemies have animations as well. Thank you very much.
Hello, this is Micah McKinnon. For Sprint 3, I had the following user stories. The first user story I had was as a player, I want the scores page to show a list of all the recorded scores and the name of the players who received those scores so that I can compare my score with other players who have played on the same device. The second user story I had was as a flying enemy, I want to fire a projectile at a random position while flying, directed at the player so that I can hurt him. The acceptance criteria for my first user story is when the scores page is open, a list of scores and player names should be listed in the order of overall score. The acceptance criteria for my final user story is when the flying enemy arrives at a random spot on the screen, it should fire a projectile at the player that reduces his health on collision. Here we are on the start screen. I'll go ahead and click on the scores button. As you can see, the scores page is now open and a list of player names and scores are listed in order of overall score. Let's now load the game to play. As in my previous demo, I'm going to speed the video up in an effort to save time. I'm also going to kill a few enemies while I wait for the flying enemy to fire his projectile at me. As you can see, the flying enemy has now fired his projectile at me, and after it hits the player's health is reduced. I will now lose all of my health to end the game and show that the score I received will show up on the scores page. The game is now over. I'll go ahead and enter in the name of Demo Video and select No, I do not want to play another game. I'll now reload the game and select Scores. As you can see, the game I just played with the name Demo Video is now listed on the scores page.
Today I'll be going over my third sprint. Now, for my user stories under game screen functionality, as a player, I want a dialogue to appear when I die so that I can input my name to record my score. And as a player, I want a dialogue to appear after the game over dialogue asking if I want to play again. When the game player runs out of health, a dialogue fragment should appear requesting the user input his or her name, and the name and score should then be recorded in game storage. When the player inputs his name and presses OK, another dialogue should appear asking if he or she wants to play again. If yes is pressed, the game should restart. If no is pressed, the game should exit. Now, I'm going to bring in my Android emulator to prove my acceptance criteria. You can see my score is 0 right now. And now my score is 20. Now I'm going to go get hit purposely. Oh no, they're surrounding me. Oh no, oh no. And I'm dead. And the game screen pops up asking me to input my name, and I think my name is Tyrell, so that's what I'll put in. And I have a score of 20. I'll hit OK. And then I'll say no this time. That way I can open the game back up. And you can see under scores, the name Tyrell, I'll flip this back. The name Tyrell, and that was my last test. And that has my score. Now I'm going to play again. And this time I'll show you the user pressing the yes option. And I'm dead. And put my name, Johnson. Johnston. Play again, yes. And then you see the game resets, score 0. And there's my stuff. Okay, that's the end of my video. Thank you.